What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what's really moving it and the latest in updates. I want to go over all that, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is down 6.45%, 1138 the low, 1216 the high, and 18.8 million shares being traded. 41.5 is the average. So you're seeing it get dragged down with the broader market, and there's not really much buying the dip type of institutional transactions. So these are some of the transactions occurring so far on the secondary market above $100,000. So these are some of the ones that really escalated the push lower first thing. So you did have a 3.7 million and then a 1.3. So both of them were sales. Aside from that, there really hasn't been any news from SoundHound, so no press releases. SEC filings, there was none today, but there was a couple near the end of last week. So I wanted to kind of go over some of these. So when it comes down to selling, so I first started covering SoundHound when it was at like give or take $5 or $6. One thing that really hurt the sentiment quite extensively was insiders consistently selling, and luckily enough that's kind of gone away, but you are starting to see a little bit more. So you did see a Form 4 and a 144. Both of them are kind of the same thing, so this is, I guess, technically SoundHound's their bad because you don't really need to submit two. 144 did signal that this director, 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗧, if I'm saying that right, was intending on selling 13,000 shares on the 13th. So this was sufficient. You didn't need to do anything else. But they did do one step further, and they did a Form 4, which said the exact same thing. Transaction code S, meaning it is and was planned. You can see that through the notes right there. But transaction code S means a sell. So it wasn't for tax purposes. It was a straight up sell. It's only 1,300 shares, so you can't really hate on this individual for doing it, but you are starting to see a little bit more of a common trend that more and more insiders are starting to sell. And then speaking of that, you did have a amended 13G, which did signal that you had Bank of America reducing their position down to 12.4 million shares, and that is a reduction from 23.4 million. So not necessarily the best. You did have BlackRock most recently increase their position from 37 to 43, but still beside the point, not great whatsoever to see institutions selling. Aside from all of that though, there really hasn't been anything even posted on social media. So last post that they did do was on November the 14th, and it wasn't really anything crazy. It was a podcast. I did listen to it. I normally like to kind of post a lot of this stuff as well in my content, just on my channel, just to get it out. But this one honestly was no benefit to SoundHound investors, regrettably. So I think SoundHound's starting to do more and more of this kind of unnecessary PR, which is not great. But when it comes down to everything, shorts are returning about 46,000 shares. So this is exactly why I like to analyze where volume comes from, what shorts are doing, because a lot of the stocks I do cover doesn't mean that there's short squeezes because I bring this up, but it's good to analyze whether they feel that the push lower or higher is justified. So for instance, today, like SoundHound and the broader market are getting slapped around, but shorts could easily double and triple down, but they're not. So the fact that they are returning 46,000, in my opinion, is relatively optimistic, and it does kind of prove that today's sell-off is unjustified. And the reason why, on a side note, why we are selling off is because of a lot of fear that rolled over from last week, but we also did get the New York Empire State Manufacturing Index coming in at 18.7. Forecast was 7, previous was 10.7. So this, mind you, is phenomenal data. This came out at 8:30 as well. So not only did you have a lot of pre-existing fear linked to consumers, lack of labor data, and most likely no cut, this being positive data, like why do we need a cut if we're having good data, right? So in general, the likelihood did go down. So now there is a 39.9% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. This has gone down dramatically over the last 1 month, and actually more so over the last 24 or 48 hours, trading days, of course. So at the end of the day, that is exactly why SoundHound and the broader market are kind of going a little bit lower. Like I said, unjustified, largely being moved through algorithmic trading, but still good to see that shorts are returning. 28.14% of the free floats being shorted, works to be 106.5 million shares overall being shorted. Looking at the options, we are seeing 3.01 million in calls, 1.7 in puts, and then 48% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around 1350 to 14. So optimism definitely has gone down quite a lot. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 10. So again, something just to kind of keep in mind. So a lot of volatility is expected, and right now with it at 1138, it is trading right below this S1. So 1158, best case scenario, it does fight and close above that. If not, you could see potentially some more consolidation in the foreseeable future. So that's 1158, and then 1077 is going to be the next strong support level. So things kind of got out of hand, and I think overall things could potentially get a little bit worse, because when it comes down to market sell-offs, people freak out, and sometimes it causes unjustified further sell-offs, like a snowball effect. So in general, not necessarily the best, but right now it is trading below all of the key pivotal moving averages that generally I like to look at. So trading below the 50, 100, 200, and also the 10-day moving average. So it does signal that there's further consolidation. Last time it actually did close below that was back in August. But yeah, things aren't looking too great for SoundHound. Even looking at the market position right here, you don't see any willing buyers whatsoever. So things could get very real very fast. So refer back to those support levels from the fib levels if you're looking to dollar cost average, or to potentially look for a bottom. So we might see $10 and change sooner rather than later. But there really hasn't been any new analyst ratings, no articles really talking about SoundHound. So it is just, I think even just generally as well, everyone is just holding their breath for Nvidia's earnings this Wednesday. So that alongside FOMC, both Wednesday afternoon, and then you have Walmart's earnings Thursday. So it's going to be quite the interesting time. So we'll have either a very significant push lower or a epic recovery. So we'll just have to wait and see how that does play out. But I do believe in SoundHound. I bought more on Friday, and that was through selling a put. So I did sell a put, and I will continue to sell, because I do believe that this sell-off right here, which is absolutely insane, is largely unjustified. But what do I know? Let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.